Here he comes. How's that for a quick bite? Look at that, guys. Pretty large mouth, boy. Gone too. We're out here just throwing a, people call it a Damiki rig, people call it moping. But, what I'm throwing right here is just, this is a 3/4 ounce moon eye with a 4.5 quiver missile worm on there and a pretty little largemouth. Just sucked it in, about the first cast really, so this may be fun. We're out here in the middle of one of these drains, here on one of these just Ozark reservoirs, and there is just bait everywhere out in the middle of this drain. So that's exactly what we're looking for. So we're gonna keep searching around this bait until we find a bunch of bass eating them. And you can see how these bait fish are really hugging the bottom this morning, and they're really low. Whenever you have a dark, cloudy day like this, they really like to hold tighter to the bottom. I don't know why exactly, but it seems like when you get a warm, sunny day, they'll really rise up towards that sun, and it makes it a little bit easier for you to find them and a little bit easier for you to pick out the bass inside of them. Sometimes the bass will lay on the bottom when they're so deep like this, and you can't see them all the time. I'm not out here just blind casting around. I'm gonna spend a lot of time just looking and hunting until I see what I'm wanting to see on there, and then I'm gonna start casting at them, trying to pinpoint them. I really concentrate. I mean, this is a really good example. I'm looking at little drains that go off of creeks. I'm looking at the main creek channels and just looking at pockets and stuff like that. It's just like these drains seem to be highway for the bait fish. The big deal about doing this is just understanding where the fish are at and being able to really drop your bait right to them. Because see, that fish there, it's not a big one, but it was coming to look at the bottom of the boat. It could hear my back transducer. Just being aware of your surroundings and learning where you're seeing that fish on your graph is just such a big deal, because I dropped right in front of the trolling motor, but I realized my bait was going behind him. So I reel up real fast, drop here on the side of the boat, lands right above his head, and he comes up and eats it. So just the whole deal about, just using your live scope and fishing out here deep is just learning how to put the bait in front of their face. So it seems like when you're out here chasing these fish around like this, you would think if you just got it somewhere close to them that you would have a chance at catching them. If you don't land your bait just almost right in front of their face, they're not going to come and bite it. The way that I try to explain it to people a lot of times is whenever you're out here, physically casting a Damiki for them, and you're not just sitting there fishing for fish that you can't see off the bottom, it's a lot like throwing a touchdown pass, really. I mean, whenever these fish they're swimming all the time, the ones that I'm fishing for. They're always swimming, they're always eating. So, I mean, you have to guess where they're going to end up, because by the time that you get your bait down there 40 feet, you got to count for an extra, 6 or 7 seconds ahead of what that fish is thinking about. Like, if I know that I'm not perfectly going to land my bait in front of the fish, I'm reeling it in and throwing it again, because if you don't give them the perfect presentation, sometimes it can spook them or run them off. And I want to be as efficient as I can, and I want to make a really good presentation to everyone that I show my bait to. I think it's a big deal to always keep the bait above the fish's head. Like right here, I'm never going to let that. I'm going to stop it up above him. Like, see, I keep it above him, but it seems like they don't really like it to go below them ever. So that's what I try to do, is I try to never let my bait get down below the fish. Oh, dadgummit, I had him. Here he comes again. Dang it. You get some of the coolest bites on this bait. It's really cool. Sometimes the fish will be kind of like you saw that one coming up there. I was bringing it away from him and trying to keep the bait away from him so he didn't get too good of a look at it. And they'll just come flying and you'll stop it. And I mean, it's like they catch your line. They come flying up so fast to eat it. So those are the bites we're looking for. Seems like the fish are still really active here, but they are very deep. So because of how deep they are, I went ahead and I'm dropping a 3/4 ounce moon eye on them. But I threw about 3 different baits, and I went ahead and rigged one of each up for you. You know, today I caught them all on it was a 4.5 quiver worm from Missile, but we bit off about 1 inch of it. And you know, you wouldn't think to use a worm on a Damiki, but it gives a really good shad profile. And I like to use really natural colors. You know, it's got a shad color on the bottom, kind of green pumpkin on the top. But that's what worked for us today. But you know, just depending on the situation, sometimes I'll throw some of these baits that, you know, are more elastic and they kind of float and your bait will set up. You know, it just depends what kind of fish or what kind of mood the fish are in. And you know, some days whenever they want something really, really subtle, you know, I'll put on a tiny little, just a zoom tiny fluke. You know, it's really just, it's kind of a preference deal and just really feeling the mood of the fish. Like right now, you're seeing me really play cat and mouse with them and keeping it away from them, and that's what they want. But as the water gets colder and everything gets slower, it's going to get to that point in the winter where you can just drop this thing down there, set it in front of their face, and I mean not move it at all. And today, you know, they wanted the big bait on the big head, you know, really letting it fall fast and getting it above them and letting them chase it down. When it comes to rod and reel setup, for me, you know, I use a 7-1 medium light. I've got 8-pound test for my leader line, 10-pound test for my braid. That's what I like. You know, some guys might tell you need to use 4-pound test or 6-pound test, but I've been out here a lot of days and used 10 or 12 just so, you know, you don't have to fight them as long and you can hurry up and get back into that group and catch another one. So you can spot it right there. Got him. You got a mean one. He ain't real big, but he's mean. And now we see why. Little smallmouth. Craziest little fish in the lake. So we were cruising along here and saw a pair setting high, and those were, you know, those targets like that you can't really pass up, just because sometimes you'll catch some really big ones setting high like that. But you know, just like we said earlier, threw out there to them, kept it above them, they spotted it, played a little cat and mouse with them, and he came and ate it. See if we're not going to be too far to the right. We'll see. Looks like we're going to be a little far right. Yep. I don't really know what they're doing when they're up there like that, but you can pick them off. They seem to be pretty active whenever you see one up high like that. So definitely don't miss out on casting that fish that you see high. There we go. Just another mean little smallmouth. Not a big one again, but there was a pair of them swimming, made perfect casts, and played a little cat and mouse with him. He came and got it. So what I just saw was a pair of fish swimming away from me, and you know, they were really covering water pretty quick, and they were 40-45 feet down. So I made a long cast out in front of them. You know, I watched it land out in front of them, and you got to just land it perfect so you can just kind of lead them. And whenever I saw my bait get, you know, probably 10 feet in front of them, I stopped it over their head, and I just kind of started to twitch it and just kind of not reeling it very fast, but kind of keeping it in the same spot until that fish spotted it. And then as soon as I watched him, whenever he saw it, I start bringing it up and just speeding my reel handle up and getting that bait away from him. And it just seems like their instincts just won't let them let it get away a lot of the time. And that fish, you know, he wouldn't let it get away. He came flying and ate it. So we've got two swimming away from us right here. And well, they actually might be kind of starting to turn around a little bit, but they are 55, almost 60 feet down. So I'm just going to make a cast out in front of them. And see, I'm a little left there. I'm going to redo my cast They're kind of swimming to the right a little bit now. So I'm gonna make my cast out in front of them. You see it land right there. All right, we're watching her fall. Here's her bait. Here's the fish. I want the fish to see the bait on their own, so I'm gonna stop it up there above their head. And here we go, he just spotted it. You see his body language change. Here they both come. Speeding it up, trying to keep it away from him. Oh, I had him. See if his buddy will get it. Got his buddy. It doesn't get any better than that right there. That's exactly what you want to see, exactly how you want it to happen. Pretty little Kentucky there. You know, these aren't giant ones, but the big ones act just the same. 3/4 ounce moon eye out of 60 feet of water. It's as fun as it gets.